America today is full of different people from different places practicing different traditions. But did you know that even back in the 1700s, the colony of Georgia was also home to a mix of cultures and beliefs? Groups like the Salzburgers, Jews, Highland Scots, and the Malcontents all played a role in shaping the colony during its early years. They came from places like England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, and other parts of Europe, bringing their own languages, religions, skills, beliefs, and traditions to the new colony. These diverse groups of settlers set the stage for how Georgia would grow and change during its trustee period. Soon after Oglethorpe and Georgia's first colonists reached Savannah, a group of Jewish settlers arrived. At first, Georgia's trustees planned to turn them away. That is until James Oglethorpe learned that one of the Jews was a skilled winemaker and another was a doctor. Oglethorpe knew starting a brand new colony wouldn't be easy. People were bound to get sick or hurt, so the Jews were allowed to stay. With the help of these Jewish settlers, the colonists received medical care and began experimenting with growing grapes for wine, which would help the economy. Despite religious and cultural differences, the Jews built a strong community in colonial Georgia. They established Congregation Mikveh Israel in Savannah. Today, it is the oldest Jewish congregation in the South and the third oldest in the United States. Another group of early settlers included the Salzburgers. They were German-speaking Protestants who were fleeing religious persecution in present-day Austria. While religious freedom wasn't listed as an official reason for Georgia's founding, it became one of the biggest draws for new arrivals. To help them escape persecution, the trustees raised money to send the Salzburgers to Georgia and gave them land and supplies once they arrived. They founded the town of Ebenezer, which means Stone of Help, and lived up to that name. The Salzburgers became known for their strong work ethic. They produced lumber, rice, beef, pork, and eventually became Georgia's top silk producers. They were also instrumental in Georgia's early cotton production. The Salzburgers were strictly against slavery and established Georgia's first Sunday school and its first orphanage. Today, Ebenezer is still home to the oldest active Lutheran congregation in the U.S. Not long after the arrival of the Salzburgers, Oglethorpe invited another group to the new colony, the Highland Scots. Originally from Inverness, Scotland, they were some of the best fighters in Europe. Oglethorpe counted on them to help defend Georgia against the Spanish. The Highland Scots settled in Darien, and like the Salzburgers, they were hardworking, deeply religious, and opposed slavery. As fierce warriors, the Highland Scots fought in the Battle of Bloody Marsh, where they helped secure Georgia against Spanish invasion. Their legacy lives on today in McIntosh County, which was named after a notable Highland Scots family. But the Highland Scots weren't the only group from Scotland to settle in Georgia. Another group, who were mostly Scottish, also came to Georgia. They were called the Malcontents. But unlike some other colonial settlers, the Malcontents didn't receive financial help from the trustees. Instead, they came to Georgia on their own in hopes of starting large farms. They became known as the Malcontents because they quickly became unhappy with several of the trustees' rules, especially their bans on rum and slavery. Throughout the late 1730s, they openly pushed for the legalization of slavery and rum in Georgia. The trustees refused their demands, and eventually, many malcontents left the colony in frustration, but their complaints didn't go away. Others echoed their arguments in support of legalizing slavery and rum in Georgia. As a result, these laws were eventually changed before the trustees' rule ended in 1752. Today, many connect Georgia's decision to legalize slavery to the pressure from the malcontents. So what did these groups contribute to Georgia's trustee period? Jewish settlers brought medical expertise, winemaking skills, and religious diversity. The Salzburgers built a thriving community, excelled in agriculture, and stood firmly against slavery. The Highland Scots defended the colony against outside threats. And the malcontents challenged the trustees, which impacted Georgia's laws. Together, these groups were the most influential during the trustee period, each shaping the colony in important ways. Their different cultures helped form Georgia's communities, economy, and early identity, leaving a lasting mark that's still visible in the state today.